Welcome to Punk Broccoli. I'm REDMOND, and I'm here with...
Eddie French.
Today, we're going to be ranking NOFX's best opening tracks from worst to best. We've got Red's list, we've got Eddie's list. Let's get to it.
Do you have anything general to say before we sort of start on this?
You know, there are no right or wrong answers here. This is just comes down to personal taste. Also, having now done this, look, you know, there aren't many bad opening tracks that NOFX have released. Hey, there are bad albums that NOFX have released, but somehow their opening tracks generally they do a good job.
Broadly speaking, best foot forward, isn't it? Really?
Yes, I agree.
I mean, I think Mike has said in the past that he thinks that Punk in Droblick is as popular as it is because it starts with linoleum. Now, I need to put out some parameters here because what I've done is I have put these songs in relation to them being album openers rather than them being songs in their own right.
Okay.
So when I rank these and tier them, I'm doing so from the perspective of how much do I want this opening a NOFX album?
I've tried to go like straight down the middle, so like it's a little bit of both. It's, you know, whether I like it and how appropriate they are as an opening song. Oh, let's jump straight in. I'll kick us off. So my least favorite opening track. This is D tier. I'm gonna have to apologize to some people because I know that they're fans of this album. It's not one of my favorite albums, I'm afraid, and it's my least favorite opening track. I'm starting with Hobophobic.
I thought you might be.
I'm sorry.
15, the one I think works least as an opening track, Derby Crashing Your Party.
Interesting. Okay.
And so it is D tier as an opening track. I actually like the song. I think it's good.
I've got one more in D tier.
So do I.
But it's 72 Hookers.
Bingo. Musically, I like this song. Lyrically, I think it's 10 years too late.
So my next is Shut Up Already from Liberal Animation.
Very nice. Okay. Mine is Day to Days from
That's fair.
S&M Airlines. For whatever reason, I think Day to Days doesn't quite do what Shut Up Already does.
Well, that leads into my next one perfectly because my next one is Day to Days.
My next one is Shut Up Already.
Well, there you go.
What's your 11?
My 11, still in tier C, is and now for something completely similar.
Fuck off. Yeah, so is mine. Still in C, now for something completely similar. Yep.
There are better opening tracks on that album. I mean, Dinosaurs Will Die is right there.
It makes absolute sense that if I think I said it at the time, imagine an album that starts off
right.
You drop the needle, you press play, you just whoa, you know, that would be absolutely brilliant. And they wait until track 3. So it's a very, very strange approach to the beginning of an album. And I think that's why it leaves me with a sense of unease, that record, and I don't know why. But there you go. That's where my C tier ends.
Oh, okay. I've got one final track in my C tier.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So what's your 10?
Well, it's one you've already mentioned. It's Derby Crashing Your Party.
Ah, okay.
I think it's well written. I think it deserves to be around C tier. But yeah, it doesn't quite hit as hard as the other tracks coming up for me.
So we're entering my B tier here.
Oh yeah.
And number 10 is The Big Drag.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's a pretty decent shout.
Now, it's B tier because I do think it is good. It is a statement of intent, certainly. If you want to talk about build-up, but it builds up to kind of just like a semi-crescendo. It never goes full raucous. It's sort of quite a slow song, even when it's being as fast as it is.
We're moving into my B tier. My first track of my B tier is Sold Out.
Oh, very nice.
It's a good track. I really like it. I think it's slightly more musically interesting than Day to Days.
This is the first opening track that features El Jefe.
Oh, I hadn't realised that.
It's the
Great
first album that Jefe appears on. He'd appeared on The Longest Line, but we're not doing EPs. So this is the first full-length album that Hefe opens, and it's got a much more intricate guitar riff than we're sort of used to. For number 9, I have put Hobophobic, and I consider that B
Okay.
tier. Now, it does not hold up its promise as to what Heavy Petting Zoo is going to sound like.
My next track, staying in B tier, and I think that this is the midpoint of my list. I think this is the most, this is the median NoFX opening track.
Right, yeah, yeah.
It's Green Corn.
Same. Yep. Same. Because it's really great. It's undeniable,
Yep.
but they have done 7 better ones,
Yeah.
to my mind. That's just how it goes. So you got any more in B?
I've got one more in B. Have you got any more in B?
I have got one more in B.
Go on then. What's your last one in B?
60%.
Interesting.
I think 60% is a brilliant example of just how much people like to pick and choose as to whether Fat Mike tells the truth or not. Because now
Sure.
Fat Mike goes on about how he doesn't lie. You know, he's just that kind of a person. I can't lie, whether it's some sort of diagnosable thing or he's just, that's just how he is. I don't know. I don't care. But then when he's doing like 60% and talking about how we only give 60% and all this kind of stuff, it's like, I mean, that's like a bit of artistic license. Like
Sure.
it's we've all seen NoFX be not very good.
Mm-hmm.
That's just part of it.
Yeah.
But they're better more often than they're not. It's just because when they're not so good, they don't have an off night, they have a catastrophe. And that's a lot more entertaining. I think people taking him at his literal word about this song is naive at best and willfully ignorant. So, yeah.
Fair
So, what's
enough.
your number 7? Are we still in B for you?
Yes, this is my last B tier selection.
Oh,
It's one that you've already selected. For
oh.
me, it's The Big Drag.
Ah,
I think I prefer The Big Drag to a lot of NoFX fans from the feeling that I get anyway. So I think we are entering our A tiers now.
correct. Number 6 is where our A tiers begin, both of us.
I've got 3 tracks in A, 3 tracks in S.
Same.
We'll start with yourself.
All right. We called it America.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Now, the song is great.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of build up. Starts with a solo, which is quite unusual. A really good one though. And so I feel it's a bit of an outlier, and it's A tier. I don't think it's because we're sort of getting into iconic territory now, and I think it falls just shy of iconic.
Well, my number 6, it's in A tier, and it is the name of this podcast, Punk Rock Elite.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
I think it's good. I think it's as you said. I think it's one of the iconic openers.
Mm.
I just personally prefer a couple of the others slightly more.
How do we break the top 5?
I think it makes sense to do
Yeah.
mine next, as
Okay.
it's one you've just mentioned. My fifth favorite NoFX opening track is "We Called It America."
Lovely.
Fans of the podcast will know Coaster is my favorite NoFX album. That is a tough call, I do need to say.
So, yes, we called it America. Lovely stuff. My number 5 is Sold Out.
Wow, did not expect to see that quite as high.
I think it's an iconic opener. It it's probably the riffiest.
Yeah.
I think it sets out its stall for what white trash is.
Well, I've got one final track in A tier. I would imagine this is going to be towards the top of most people's list. I could see this entering S tier in plenty of people's lists. I would be surprised to see if this was towards the bottom of anyone's list. So my final track of A tier
Mhm.
is Separation of Church and Skate.
Snap.
It's for me, it doesn't quite get to S tier, but my God, is it on its way?
It's great. It's got a nice big crescendo build up to it, and it sets out a much angrier NoFX for a much angrier NoFX album.
I'm pretty sure I've heard Mike refer to this as their best song.
He did consider it to be their best song for a while, certainly.
Well, I think that means that we're entering our S tier.
Oh my goodness, S tier.
So I mean, do
Good.
you want to start us off? What's the first track in your S tier?
Number 3, my third favorite, S tier, 6 Years on Dope.
Okay, sure.
It's got the little keyboard going under the chorus melody.
Yeah,
Mike's voice sounds amazing when blended in with Melvin's in the actual melodic bit, and it's fucking brilliant. If
yeah. I think it's one of their best produced tracks
Yeah, it
ever.
sounds great. That was Cameron Webb who did the production on that.
Well, my first entrant in S tier, my number 3, is Linoleum.
Linoleum.
NoFX's quintessential song.
Yep.
It's one of the most iconic pop punk songs of the 90s.
Yeah.
And what a better way to start an album than with that guitar riff from
Yep.
Linoleum.
Well, that's good because my number 2 is Linoleum. So we've just spoken about that. That's S tier. Number 2, Linoleum. Iconic. Perfect.
Okay. Well, my number 2 in S tier. Now, I don't think this will be in a lot of people's S tier, but I'm going to obviously explain the reasons why I think it deserves to be here. For me, it's 60%.
Okay.
I love 60%. I think that 60% is NoFX's opening track in that it basically gives you the exposition of NoFX. It's sort of the rolling credits at the start of Star Wars.
Yeah, the crawl. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Previously
is
on NoFX.
yeah. Previously on NoFX, that is
Yeah.
60%.
Yeah.
It
Fair.
gives you the lay of the land. It tells you what the band are about.
Mm.
I think that obviously it's their slowest opener, and
Mm.
I think that makes it stand out. It makes it unique. It makes me listen to this opening track more than their other opening tracks. I'm like, oh, hang on, this isn't how they usually start an album. Let's see what's going on here. And I think it's the best opening track. If I go and see them live, I want them to begin with 60%. I think it's the best way of easing you into a NoFX show. And more importantly, it's the best way of easing the members of NoFX into a NoFX show.
You put forward a very, very convincing case, I've got to say. That's some good work there. So that's 60% in at number 2. So what's your number 1, Red? S tier, number 1, cream of the crop.
6 Years on Dope. It's 6 Years on Dope. It's one of my favorite NoFX tracks. I think it's their best opening track. I don't think there is a better Mel Yell song in the NoFX songbook than 6 Years on Dope.
Leaving Jesus Land has bumped into my head, but I think
It's a good one.
6 Years pips it though. The numbers at this point are kind of not really meaning anything, and if you ask me tomorrow, they'd probably change because S tier is S tier, and it
Absolutely.
which leads me to my number 1, named the show after it, Punk Rock Elite.
Okay.
It doesn't have the big build up, but it's got something of an intro, but it is so fast and so it's over before you start enjoying it just a bit too late, and then it's over, and it's the whole album is like that. The whole album it prepares you for an album that's almost disappointing because you don't get to enjoy it for as long as you'd like to.
What do you think? Are we right or are we wrong? Drop your rankings in the comments below. Like, subscribe, download the podcast every Monday morning. Goodbye from Punk Rock Elite.
Bye bye.
That'll do.